Welcome to the deep dive. We have a really fascinating set of sources today.
Yeah, we really do.
It's anchored by this in-depth industry article that focuses heavily on the African legal market. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore exactly how legal project management, or LPM as we'll call it, is basically completely changing the game for law firm profitability.
It is a massive shift.
Right. We're going to look at how eliminating these huge amounts of hidden wastage enables something called true value-based pricing. Because, right now, the legal industry is doing something that would be considered absolutely crazy in almost any other field.
Oh, completely crazy.
Imagine this. You get into a taxi, right? You tell the driver exactly where you want to go. But instead of taking the highway, they decide to take the scenic route. They hit every single red light, they get completely lost, maybe twice, and they drive about 20 miles per hour the entire way.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Totally. And when you finally arrive at your destination, you're exhausted, you're late, and the driver turns around and says, yeah, so that'll be double the usual fare because it took me so much longer to get you here.
You'd be absolutely furious.
Right.
You'd probably refuse to pay, and you certainly wouldn't ever use that taxi service again. I mean, it completely defies logic to reward someone for being inefficient.
Exactly. But in the high end, highly educated, incredibly prestigious world of legal services, we do this every single day.
Yeah, we do.
We literally have a name for it. We call it the billable hour.
The dreaded billable hour.
And the painful truth highlighted in our sources today is that most law firm partners desperately want more profit, but very few of them can actually tell you where their profit is leaking.
That's the scariest part. They just don't know.
And even worse, they don't realize their current pricing models are structurally designed to work against them.
Yeah, it is a systemic issue. The actual infrastructure of how the business operates is fundamentally at odds with the goals of the people running it. And this is incredibly relevant for you listening right now, whether you are a law firm partner desperately trying to protect your margins or an in-house counsel who is just exhausted from fighting endless battles over these opaque invoices.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because that taxi analogy, I think it really gets to the heart of the billable hour problem. Paying for legal services by the hour is literally rewarding inefficiency.
It really is.
Like, if a junior associate takes 8 hours to just stumble through a task that should really only take a seasoned professional, say, 4 hours, under a pure time billing model, that junior associate isn't a training problem.
No, not at all.
They are a revenue-generating machine.
Exactly, which creates a fundamentally adversarial dynamic with the client.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you were an in-house counsel listening to this, you know exactly what this feels like.
Oh, they definitely do.
Every single hour that shows up on a bill is an hour that you are going to scrutinize. When a legal matter runs over an initial estimate, and let's be honest, without structured matter management, they almost always run over, the entire conversation between the external lawyer and the in-house client just shifts.
Right. It stops being about the outcome or the strategy.
Exactly. It shifts from, look at this incredible value we deliver to protect your business, to, why on earth did this email take 3 hours to write?
Right. Why am I paying for this?
Yeah. And that is not a conversation that builds long-term trust. It builds resentment. It makes the firm incredibly vulnerable to competitors who can actually articulate their value and provide, actual cost certainty.
Because clients, especially these major corporate in-house teams, they're just too sophisticated now.
Way too sophisticated.
Mm.
They are experts at querying these invoices.
So the natural reaction for a lot of firms, and we see this a lot in commercial and property work especially, is to swing completely in the opposite direction. They say, fine, clients hate the billable hour. Let's just shift to fixed fees. We'll charge a flat rate for this contract or this merger. And they think, problem solved.
But it's really not.
No, because the source material points out a massive trap here. Fixed fees without strict operational discipline lead straight to margin compression.
Yeah.
Wait, before we go further, for anyone listening who isn't like a financial analyst, what does margin compression actually mean in a law firm context?
Oh, sure. Well, it's essentially when your cost to deliver a service goes up or even just stays the same, but the revenue you make from that service goes down.
Okay.
So it's literally squeezing your profit margin until it's paper thin.
I see.
And what's fascinating here is why those fixed fees cause this compression so spectacularly when there's no management system in place.
Right. Why does it feel?
Think about it. A fixed fee is only profitable if, with a very high degree of precision, exactly how long a matter will take.
Which lawyers famously struggle with.
Exactly. You need to know exactly who is going to work on it, what specific risks might cause the scope to expand, and crucially, where your internal inefficiencies are going to inflate your costs.
So offering an unmanaged fixed fee is kind of like offering an all-you-can-eat buffet to a professional rugby team
Oh, wow.
without knowing how much food you actually have in your kitchen or what the food cost you to buy in the first place.
That is a perfect way to put it. You aren't pricing at that point. You are guessing.
Just totally guessing.
And when a law firm guesses wrong on a fixed fee matter, the client is totally protected. The client still just pays the flat rate.
Right. They don't care if it took you longer.
Exactly. The firm is the one that absorbs the loss. The firm's profit margin just evaporates.
So basically, the billable hour punishes the client, and an unmanaged fixed fee punishes the law firm.
Yes, neither of these models is actually sustainable.
Which brings us to the paradigm shift. If traditional models are flawed by design, what replaces them? The answer is value-based pricing. But to really understand that, we need to look at the actual ROI, the return on investment of legal services.
This is where we have to stop talking like lawyers and start talking like business owners.
Yes. The source material gives this incredible tale of two clients to illustrate this. Let's break down the data because I think it is so revealing.
Let's do it.
So we have two clients, Client A and Client B. They are both businesses, and they both have a 1 million rand outstanding debt that they need a law firm to collect for them.
Okay, so same problem, same financial exposure.
Exactly. Now, Client A goes to a traditional firm. The firm charges them 200,000 rand in legal fees to chase this debt. They're successful, and they manage to recover 850,000 rand of the debt.
Okay, so let's look at the client's net position there. They spent 200,000 to get 850,000 back.
Right.
So they're sitting with 650,000 rand in hand. But remember, their original exposure was 1 million.
Right. They were a million in the hole.
Exactly. So when you factor the net recovery against that original exposure, Client A actually has a return on legal investment of negative 14.8%.
Negative 14%.
Right. It's a loss mitigation exercise. They stop the bleeding, but they're still in the red.
Okay, now look at Client B. Client B goes to a firm using value-based pricing. This firm charges a higher upfront fee, 300,000 rand instead of 200,000.
Okay, 100 grand more.
Yes. And they also recovered the exact same amount of debt, 850,000 rand.
So at first glance, Client B paid more for the exact same financial recovery.
Right. How on earth is that a win for the client?
Well, because that 300,000 engagement didn't just include the collection action. The law firm also executed a structured intervention into Client B's internal debtor management processes.
Wait, really?
Yeah, they essentially acted as business consultants, not just debt collectors.
Oh, I see. So they built them new templates, they probably set up escalation triggers, maybe instituted new reporting standards.
Exactly. They fixed the root cause, not just the symptom.
That's huge.
It is. Because of that extra strategic work, Client B's subsequent debtor book shows absolutely no new delinquencies of that scale. This crisis basically doesn't happen to them again.
Wow.
So the value delivered is the 850,000 recovered, plus all those prevented future losses. And the source calculates that this generates a return on legal investment of positive 35.3%.
Positive 35%. That is the crux of it right there. Client B paid more upfront, but Client B got significantly more value.
Exactly.
Client B is the one who is going to happily renew their retainer next year. Client B is going to refer all their industry colleagues to this firm.
Yep.
And crucially, Client B is not going to query a single line item on that invoice because the value is just undeniable.
Right. Value-based pricing requires speaking the language of ROI. You have to be able to communicate value to a CFO rather than just talking in, lawyer terms about how many hours you ground away in the library.
Totally. But this raises an obvious question for me. If value-based pricing is this incredible high retention, highly profitable model, why isn't every single firm on the planet doing it today?
Well, because it requires an operational foundation that most firms simply do not have.
They're just not built for it.
Exactly. Their internal processes are a mess.
Okay, I have to push back here for a second. The article talks a lot about wastage being the enemy of this model.
Yes.
But wastage sounds like a term for a manufacturing plant. It sounds like something you worry about when you're stamping out car parts on an assembly line, not when you are running a bespoke white-collar law firm. I mean, does a high-end law firm really have waste?
That is such a common reaction.
Yeah.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the difference between growth and scaling.
Okay.
Most law firms operate on a linear growth model, meaning if you want to take on more work and increase your revenue, you have to hire more associates. You're just trading human hours for dollars.
So growth is kind of like digging a hole with a shovel. If you want a bigger hole, you just have to hire more people with shovels.
Exactly. That's linear. Scaling, on the other hand, means increasing your revenue without proportionally increasing your resources.
Right.
Scaling is buying an excavator. It turns a professional services practice into a compounding asset. And wastage is the ultimate enemy of scaling.
I see.
Every law firm has waste. The only question is whether the partners are actually aware of it.
Wow.
In fact, the International Institute of Legal Project Management, the ILPM, actually has a framework for this.
Yeah, the sources talk about this.
Right. They identify 6 specific categories of waste that are endemic in legal environments. And our sources highlight how these show up specifically across African law firms.
Okay, let's unpack these because I think converting factory concepts to a law firm sounds a bit rigid until you actually see it in practice. Where does this waste usually start?
Well, it usually starts with overproduction.
Number one.
Right. This is doing more than the client actually needs.
Give me an example.
It's writing a 20-page, heavily footnoted legal memo when the client really just needed a clear 3-paragraph email saying, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't.
Oh, I've seen that so many times.
Right. It is usually driven by habit or extreme risk aversion rather than actual client necessity.
But that overproduction doesn't usually happen in a vacuum, right? Usually, lawyers overdraft because the matter has completely stalled out somewhere, which introduces the second massive margin killer. Waiting time.
Yes, the invisible leak.
It's the invisible leak in the firm's profitability. It's the time lost when a matter completely stalls.
Exactly.
You're waiting for unclear instructions from a client, or you're waiting for a partner to approve a draft, or you're waiting on information that really should have been gathered at the very beginning of the project.
Because lawyers are always juggling multiple files, that waiting time just gets absorbed into the background workload.
It just disappears.
Yeah. It feels invisible to the client, but it constantly delays matter completion, which means it delays billing. And when things finally do move, you often run into the third waste, unnecessary processing.
Which is basically operational friction.
Exactly.
This is reworking documents that just weren't right the first time. It's having to re-explain the scope of the work to the client because it wasn't clearly defined in the kickoff meeting.
Yep.
Or it's, duplicating effort across team members because the handoffs were just sloppy.
Which naturally leads to number 4, defects and errors.
The bad ones.
Yeah, these are just straightforward mistakes. But in a legal context, a mistake isn't just an internal cost to fix. It carries massive reputational and liability risk.
Right. Finding a critical typo in a contract right before signing, that requires urgent, stressful time to identify, correct, and manage the fallout.
Or consider the discovery phase of litigation.
Wait, discovery, that's the massive document exchange phase where both sides have to hand over their evidence, right?
Exactly. That phase is huge. If your team makes an error and fails to process a crucial batch of emails during discovery, the cost to go back, reopen the process, and potentially face sanctions from a judge is astronomical.
It completely destroys whatever profit margin you had on that case.
Absolutely gone.
Wow. Then there is number 5, which honestly might be the most common one I see. Underutilized talent.
Oh, yeah.
I see this all the time. You have a senior partner billing at top-tier rates doing tasks that a junior associate or even a paralegal could easily handle.
All the time.
And why does it happen?
Yeah.
Usually because the firm has absolutely no documented workflow. There is no delegation framework, so the partner just hoards the work to ensure it gets done, quote-unquote, right.
Which completely destroys the firm's leverage model.
Totally.
And finally, number 6, transport and information movement.
How does that work in a law firm?
Well, in a factory, transport waste is moving physical goods around too much. In a law firm, it manifests as version control confusion. Yeah, it's having vital case information trapped in siloed systems. It's a client's specific instruction being buried in an email thread that has to travel through 3 layers of associates before it finally reaches the person who actually needs to draft the document.
Oh, I know that pain. Final underscore V2 underscore revised underscore actually final dot docs.
Exactly. We have all been there.
We really have. So we have these 6 categories: overproduction, waiting, unnecessary processing, defects, underutilized talent, and information movement. Knowing the theory is great,
Yes.
but here's where it gets really interesting. If a partner is listening right now and wondering if their firm is bleeding profit through these wastes, where do they even start looking? I mean, is there a specific metric that gives it away?
Well, the source actually provides a fantastic 5-question profitability audit designed specifically to diagnose this.
Let's hear it.
The very first place a partner should look is their realization rate by specific matter type.
Wait, before we move on, for anyone listening who isn't an accountant, what exactly is a realization rate in this context? Are we just talking about the percentage of the hours you actually billed that the client actually paid for?
Exactly. It's the difference between what your time is theoretically worth on paper and what actually hits the firm's bank account.
Okay, got it.
But the key here is tracking it by specific matter type, not just your practice area in aggregate.
Why does that matter?
Because if you don't know that, you are managing your profitability completely blind. You might be making an absolute fortune on complex mergers, but losing money on standard employment contracts, and the aggregate number just hides the bleed.
Wow, that makes sense. And if a firm is doing fixed fees, how do they figure out where the bleed is?
That's the second diagnostic question. When your fixed fee budgets do overrun, do you know exactly at which stage of the process it happens?
Oh,
Is it during that document discovery phase we talked about? Is it in the drafting phase? If you can't locate exactly where the waste is happening, you cannot eliminate it.
right. And I imagine a huge indicator of waste is client pushback, which brings us to the third thing to look at. What percentage of your build time do clients regularly query or ask you to reduce?
Yes, that is a painful metric to track, but vital. Persistent write-downs are a blaring siren.
It really is.
It's a signal that the value of the work is not being effectively communicated to the client, or that the client feels they're just paying for your internal inefficiency.
That perfectly connects to the fourth question. Do you have a documented scope change protocol?
So important.
Right. When a client calls and says, hey, while you're looking at that contract, can you also just draft this quick extra addendum?
Yeah, if you don't have a formal protocol to pause, communicate with the client, and reprice that request, scope creep is just being silently absorbed into your firm's cost base.
You are essentially doing free work.
You're subsidizing their business.
Wow. And I'm guessing the ultimate test of scalability is looking at your most profitable work and asking the fifth question. Could a junior team have handled this matter if we actually had a documented workflow?
Yes.
If the answer is yes, but it's still being done by senior partners, that is a massive scaling opportunity just left on the table.
Huge opportunity.
But what about the in-house counsel listening to this? Their profitability lens has to be different, right?
This raises an important question because it absolutely is different. Their lens shifts from how to bill to how to demonstrate value to the broader business.
Okay.
If you're in-house, your equivalent audit questions are, can you tell your CFO exactly what legal costs were avoided last quarter because of your team's strategic interventions?
Like client B from earlier.
Exactly. Do you have accurate cycle time data for your highest volume matters? And can you prove with actual data that your legal function is processing the exact same commercial volume as last year, but with less external law firm spend?
Wow, so that turns the legal department from a dreaded cost center into a highly measurable strategic business asset.
Exactly.
So we've diagnosed the illness, the billable hour is flawed, unmanaged fixed fees are dangerous, and hidden wastage is silently killing margins.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean? How do you actually implement the cure? We keep hearing phrases in the source material like upstream operational discipline. But, what does that actually look like on a random Tuesday morning at a law firm?
Well, it means you don't write a single word of a contract until the scope is completely locked in and communicated to the client.
Period.
Period. You cannot just declare, we're now doing value-based pricing and expect it to work without fundamentally changing how the work is produced before the legal work even begins.
And that is exactly where legal project management, or LPM, comes in. The article details a highly specific solution for this: Pocket Advisor's Applied Legal Project Management course.
Yes.
Now, this is a big deal because Pocket Advisor is actually Africa's only training provider that is accredited by the ILPM. And they aren't just, selling a philosophy, they are teaching the exact structural methodologies needed to fix those 6 areas of waste.
Right. And the course is taught completely online across 15 modules.
Okay, very accessible.
Yeah. And it includes live weekly facilitation by Nicolene Shemin Liu, who is an award-winning attorney with over 20 years of actual practice experience.
Oh, so she actually knows what it's like in the trenches.
Exactly. The curriculum focuses heavily on the mechanics of the IILPM's 4-step framework. It teaches you how to properly scope a matter to prevent that scope creep we talked about, how to build dynamic templates to stop overproduction, and importantly, how to actually communicate your value in a way that resonates with the CFO.
And the article mentions that when you graduate, you earn an LPP or LPA certification. What do those acronyms actually stand for?
They stand for Legal Project Practitioner and Legal Project Associate.
Okay.
They are internationally recognized certifications from the IILPM, so it provides concrete proof that you have the skills to handle that crucial upstream operational work.
And frankly, the barrier to entry isn't astronomical at all. The source notes the fee for the entire 15-module course is 9,500 Rand. However, if you attend one of their free LPM 101 sessions first, you actually get a 1,000 Rand discount. So for 8,500 Rand, you are getting the tools to fundamentally rewire how you operate.
Which pays for itself on the very first fixed fee matter you don't mess up.
Literally.
So, to synthesize all of this, the biggest takeaway from these sources is that value-based pricing isn't actually a pricing strategy at all.
Like, really?
No, it is an operational posture. You absolutely have to know exactly what you are delivering, precisely how long it takes to deliver it, and what it costs your firm internally to produce it.
That makes total sense.
Legal project management provides the concrete structural foundation to gather that data. Firms that make this operational investment don't just price their services better. They deliver a consistently better product, they retain their clients longer, and they build a truly scalable business asset.
That is such a powerful way to frame it. I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over today.
Go for it.
Think back to the taxi driver analogy we started with, and then look at the very last legal matter you or your firm closed.
Oh, this is good.
If you were to magically strip away all the waiting time, strip away the version control confusion, the unnecessary internal emails, and the unbilled scope creep, what percentage of the time logged on that file was actually spent generating the specific outcome the client paid for?
That's a scary question for a lot of people.
Right. Was your client paying for the destination, or were they just subsidizing your scenic route? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really encourage you to question your structural workflows, stop rewarding inefficiency, and strive for true scalability. We'll see you next time.